Well, welcome to the Week in Review for Week 2, Module 2. With these Week in Reviews, what I like to do is look at what we did last week, kind of talk about the topics that we had. Maybe there were some issues or problems, questions that I can address to the group, and then also look forward to what we're doing this week. So let's talk a little bit about last week. Snowmageddon. I know it was really tough for a lot of people, especially if you live here in Northwest Ohio or in Southeast Michigan or in the Midwest in general. Brutal temperatures. It was just horrible around here. But I hope all of you, went through that safe and sound, and now we're in the thaw. So let's talk a little bit about Snowmageddon. There was some information set out from the college as they were trying to develop what's going on with the campus in general. And we had a couple of issues that happened. The first one was the brutally cold weather. So we had a couple of days closed for weather-related issues at the college. Then, because of the brutal weather, we had pipes burst in multiple locations throughout the college, which impacted quite a few different classrooms. So we had facility issues in the later part of the week. Now, for those of us that were in online programs, the wonderful thing about our virtual campus is that it lives on multiple servers in multiple locations throughout the country and is not affected usually by these kind of calamities. So for all of us, we came in and continued to work on throughout the week. Then on Saturday, there was a decision made that we would officially start Desire to Learn classes on that Saturday. That would be the official start date for Module 1. So what this means for you, if you needed some additional time to complete Module 1 activities, by all means, you can have that. Just let me know. Now, I surveyed, I think everybody, though, got Module 1 done on time, which is good. Don't feel like you missed out, because you still would have had everything due this Sunday. So you not only have your Module 2 work done, you'd have Module 1 work done as well. So pat yourself on the back. I think everybody got everything completed. I did a quick survey of the majority of the assignments. But again, if you do needed some more time, it should be available. I think I left everything open for the remainder of this week. If you encounter any difficulties in accessing something from Module 1 that you want to complete this week without penalty, let me know. But I think I have everything set to run one more week as well. So that's Snowmageddon. No, in the future, because the college was trying to develop a plan, because we had physical facilities here that didn't work, but it just affected the Toledo campus. It did not affect our Youngstown campus and did not affect, of course, our virtual campus. In the future, we are going to have some sort of mechanism to, define which parts of the college are closed. So stay tuned for that. It'll probably read something like classes on the Mercy College Toledo campus are closed. Youngstown and Desire to Learn are open. You probably will read something like that in the future. So stay tuned for that. We've never had anything of this nature happen to the school where you have a double thing happening with the snow and then our pipes bursting at multiple locations throughout the campus. So I apologize for kind of all the confusion, but it looks like everybody went through just fine, and I think we're looking really good coming into Module 2. Okay, so that kind of covers Snowmageddon. Let's talk a little bit about the activities that you did last week. It was a great job with those introductions. Looking at the introductions, wonderful back and forth in there. What I was really impressed with was the amount of experience that we have in the group from all ends of the spectrum, from new folks to folks who've been around for a while, and that's great. I love to see that kind of mix of experience. You don't necessarily want one kind of a lopsided class if you can have it. And this one looks like a great balance, so it looks good. And thank you very much for your good participation in those introductions. I know it can get kind of boring because you've probably been through it quite a few times already, but thank you for doing that. It's a good way for me to get to know the class. The quizzes, last week's quiz. Now, the grades on that ranged anywhere from 100%. We had folks in 100, 98, 96, the upper end, all the way through the entire spectrum on the quiz. The quizzes, as you saw, for module 1 are constructed so that you can only see one question at a time. You can't go back to the question once you answer it. And I have students ask me, why do you do that? Well, it's a mechanism here really to protect the integrity of your quiz. In the past, we have had students, where there's been some cheating, sharing of answers. So there are some recommended mechanisms in place to try to prevent that. And one of these is one question at a time and no going back. Also, the questions, you don't see this happens in the background, they are randomized. So it does make it difficult. If there was someone who was inclined to share answers, it makes it kind of hard to do that. And plus, there's some other things, just so you know, and I think it's important that students know. We have had incidents, again, in the past where online students have been discovered cheating. And there's something that we use as kind of a digital fingerprint. And it's, again, happens behind the scenes, but we can look at certain things as far as, who is signed on when, what terminals, it kind of gets even down to the IP address. So long story short, please don't cheat. And if you ever feel that you're in a situation where you might think that you need that, talk to me. Maybe it's something, where you're so busy for time this week that, if it just takes me giving you an extra day and a small deduction on points, I'm more than happy to do that. So there's my little thing about academic integrity. Please be careful. Don't be tempted to share answers, and know that we do have mechanisms in place to protect the integrity of your quizzes. So, okay, very good. All right, so enough about that particular part of the quiz. I know some of you with those grades for last week aren't probably too happy. Of course, the higher end folks are just fine, but I know you're going to be getting used to the whole quiz format, the way that I'm presenting quizzes. I traditionally, and will do it for this class, is drop the lowest quiz grade. So know that you got a mulligan. You can take one of these and just kind of scrap it, and it won't count against you. So maybe it's this quiz, or maybe it's one down the road. So know that we've got that as well. Okay. Let's see. And then looking at my notes here, the learning activity. I had about 4 questions in the virtual office about the learning activity, and we're going to go over that in just a few moments. Before we go into learning activities, I just want to talk about this week. Again, we have our quiz, our discussion, and our learning activity, plus your topic for your Move Note presentation is due. Now, again, couple questions I've been getting on the topic for the Move Note presentation. The only thing, it's pretty broad. You can choose anything with healthcare and, economics that you wish. And the only kind of topic I really don't want you to address specifically is the Affordable Care Act and its impact on the U.S. economy. Because that you're going to do in that 3-page paper towards the end of the class. Now, does that mean you can't talk about the Affordable Care Act? Absolutely not. Please do talk about the Affordable Care Act if you wish in this presentation. It's going to be probably pretty hard not to talk about it, at least in some instances. So you can absolutely do that. Again, just don't talk about what you'd be addressed in the paper. So just go to the syllabus. You can see exactly, again, what that topic was for the paper, and just make sure that's not what you're covering for your suggested topic for the presentation. But I expect that you will talk about the Affordable Care Act. Maybe you can explain how the Affordable Care Act affects nursing or affects medical imaging, affects pharmacology. There's a whole 3 or 4 easy topics within pharmacology, drug sales, drug companies, that you could talk about. Why are drugs cheaper in Mexico than they are here? And a lot of times you don't even need a prescription to legally buy drugs in Mexico. You just walk right into the pharmacy and you get typically what requires a prescription up here in the States. You can get it there for pennies on the dollar. So why is that? That could be another topic to look at. So again, you think of a topic. We've had by the time that your topic is due, you'll have a couple of weeks. You'll have 5 chapters in the book, kind of getting the economic juices flowing. So hopefully you can come up with a topic, and you'll be submitting that topic to me by the end of the week. I will then kind of give you a yay or nay, thumbs up, thumbs down, or maybe maybe you got to tweak it a little bit in the feedback portion of the document that you'll submit. And all you're going to submit is a Word document saying, my topic is, drug price discrepancies in Latin America versus North America, or something like that. And then I'll put back in the feedback, great topic, can't wait to see your presentation, and you're off and running. So look for the feedback to make sure you got the go-ahead to start working on that presentation. I'll try to get those as quickly as they come in. I'll try to get them back as approved or disapproved, within 24 hours. So, all right, so very good. So that is this week. The quiz for this week, I'm going to really expand out the time on the quiz. Please use a calculator. So there will be some math on there. The questions are pretty much like what's in the book, so that'll help you. The learning activity can help you kind of go through the practice of questions too. Again, we're not trying to make you a statistician, but to have a basic knowledge of some things like standard deviation and variance, etc. So please be aware of that. But I am going to give a lot more time this week on the quiz to allow you to kind of number crunch and double check your answers before you submit it. Okay. So let's see, we've talked about last week, we've talked about this week. Now let's talk about that learning activity. Got a lot of questions about that. So let's jump into the course and let me just kind of briefly review that. Okay, so you are in your course, and this is our course landing page here. My pages will look slightly different than yours because I'm in what's called instructor mode, but all of you should have this news item, by the way. And it really doesn't pertain to videos in this class because I use YouTube a lot. But in some of your other classes, you may notice that a video, you'll land on a page and it'll say, please watch this video, and there'll be absolutely nothing below it. It'll be a big blank space where a video should be. Most chances you're using Google Chrome, and there is a small little shield icon that you need to hit in your browser bar, but all of this is explained right here. So if you're a Google Chrome user, as I am, you'll want to kind of review this information here if you are wondering why your pages look so strange in some instances. On some of the courses that you're at. In this particular course, I use YouTube, and you shouldn't have much of a problem. Note that Firefox is a no-go for D2L, and if you don't want to have really any problems at all, you can always jump to Internet Explorer. But I love my Google Chrome, so I'm sticking with it, even though we have a few little hiccups with it. All right, so that's just want to draw your attention to the video issue that we're having. Has to do with our video server and how there was an update to Chrome, and it's acting a little funny. I'm also going to say, well, since Chrome is, I think now it's officially the most popular browser used, and if you don't want to separate and go to Internet Explorer, there is another issue that just came up last week when Chrome did an update, and let me just show you this one. I promise we'll get to that learning activity, but I wanted to show you this. Okay, and I actually discovered this last week and brought it to their attention, and then they checked on it, our distance education IT folks, and again, it was something to do with a Chrome update. All right, so when you go to a discussion forum, you get this tiny little box, which is ridiculous. Of course, you can't really compose answers within here. All you need to do to fix that, and I didn't find this out, someone had to tell me, is that you go to Control, excuse me for a moment, do Control plus, it'll be on the page here. There you go, Control plus, that is on a Mac, or I'm sorry, that is on a PC, Control plus, and it opens it right up for you, kind of back to a normal mode. And you can actually adjust it now if it's a little bit too big by doing Control minus. So there you go. So that is how that is fixed. If you are encountering that with Google Chrome and you notice that your discussion boxes are way too tiny, hit Control and plus simultaneously. When you're on that page, it will open that up. Okay. All right, let's go back to the course home, back to what we're familiar with. And as I promised, we'll get to that learning activity. Okay, so go to Content, and we'll pick on the learning activity for last week. I'll click on here, and then we'll click the link. This is kind of behind the scenes what it looks like, but I'll go to a preview mode. And then from here, just again, these learning activities are set up as a quiz. Think of it like a quiz that's 7 days long. And as long as you don't hit submit, you can always come right back to the quiz. You just hit save, but don't hit submit. And we're going to do that, start my quiz, which is my learning activity. Okay. So with the learning activities, and really all of them going throughout the entire course, is even though I give you a lot of white space, most of these questions can be answered with 2 or 3 sentences, even 1 sentence. You know, if you are doing kind of, I'd say more than, 3 sentences, you're probably doing a little bit too much. So as long as what you're saying makes sense and is backed up by the theories and things that are presented within the textbook and the video lectures, you're fine. You can, as long as you make your case. So let's say, like in the example of the mechanics. Mechanics usually have a better information about how to fix automobiles and their customers. What sort of problems does this advantage create? This is kind of like your opinion. Mechanics always have kind of a bad rap anyway. Do mechanics or their customers, can they do anything to limit these problems? So as long as you're kind of addressing those kind of 2 questions in 2 or 3 sentences, you're fine. You know, you could say something like, in some cases, mechanics take advantage of their customers. Or in other cases, customers are reluctant to take their car to a mechanic to follow his or her advice because they're afraid of being taken advantage of. And then what do people try to do? I mean, think about what you do. You ask your friends, who's a good mechanic? So customers try to gain information from, friends and associates to identify, who's a good mechanic. And you want mechanics that show professional certifications. You may want mechanics who understand that if they do a good job, you're going to come back to them over and over again, maybe a lifetime customer. So that you're not just a one-time customer, they're going to rip you off and you're never going to come back again. You want to find a mechanic who has good relationships with their customers. So you could again boil that down to 3 sentences. That's probably on the long side. So again, please don't do a huge paragraph. 2, 3, maybe 4 sentences on any one of these, and you're more than fine. I'm not looking for an essay, a traditional essay answer. And then there was one question that caused a little bit of confusion, and I will apologize for this. When I made this question 2 weeks ago, the data was the 2010-2011, but due to our incredible government efficiency, they've already updated the data. So now it's 2011 and 2012. So I have this compare, as it's written here, it's compare 11 to 10, 2010, because that's all that was out there. And then they just updated it. So, but what I wanted you to do was to go to this website, and we'll go there real quick. And that my secret agenda was really to have you go to the website, just to have you get familiar that there are tons of sources of information out there that you can see that if you're ever in a managerial job, you can find this very trusted, solid information that's out there and available. But in this case, I was hoping that you'd find the first link, which would be the historical, and just go right to the highlights. And the question was, again, let's see, I think it was the first one. Let me double check here. Yes, it was about hospital spending. So, really you would be looking at, just kind of, again, I think that first paragraph right there about general hospital spending, which home health care, hospital care. So, you'd be looking at this information right here, basically summarizing hospital care spending increased 4.9% compared to 2012. If you didn't get that, don't worry, that is absolutely okay. Again, my goal was to really just show you that website, have you kind of play around with it a little bit, know that there's some data that you can glean out of that website, whether it's for this course or anything down the road, if you want to impress your friends and neighbors about your healthcare economics knowledge. So for everybody on that question, especially since the years have changed in that PDF just in the past week, I'm going to take that question off and everybody will get credit for that one. So again, I apologize if that caused some confusion. If you found the website and at least looked around, kind of mission accomplished there. So hopefully that helps you with these learning activities. Again, I'm not looking for huge essay answers, just something simple, 2, 3, maybe max 4 at any, for my worst possible questions in there. Okay, sorry about such a long weekend review. Normally these things will run about 10 minutes, but I wanted to kind of get on a good footing going forward with some of this stuff, and especially with all the problems last week with snow and whatnot. So excellent. Everything's looking very good for this week. If you again have any questions or problems, you know how to contact me. General questions in virtual office, personal questions, which some of you had, you can please use my email address. And that concludes this week in review for Module 2. And as always, thank you for watching.